Okay, in this video we begin to look at adding sign numbers. And I'll give you the rules here shortly, but first I think it helps if you conceptually think of positive numbers as money you either have or money you're going to get. And then think of negative numbers as money that you owe, that you have to pay to somebody. And so if we keep those ideas in mind as we start here, that'll help us kind of get a feeling or understanding for how we add sign numbers. So in the first example, of course, we can do 8 plus 7 is 15. But the understanding here is that we have $8. We've now gained $7 more dollars. So in total, of course, we'll have 15, which is why the answer is a positive 15. Now that's fine if we're dealing with positive numbers. But this, again, idea of money you have and money you owe really helps us when we deal with sign numbers. We have some negative numbers involved. So for instance, consider the problem here, 8 plus negative 15. We think of the $8 as money that we currently have. Now someone has given us a bill for $15. Right, so we now owe $15. Question is, where are we at? Well, the $8 that we have is not enough. The $8 that we have is not enough. So we're actually going to be in debt, $7. So 8 plus negative 15 will actually be negative 7. In the next example, once again, we have a negative number and a positive number being added. This time we have negative 12 plus negative 20, so we can think of that as we're in debt $12 and now we've gotten $20. So we can settle up, and at this point, since we have more than we owe, we'll now have $8. Next example here, we have negative 7 plus negative 12. Negative 7 plus negative 12. So we owe $7, and now someone's given us a bill for another $12. So in total, we're now in debt $19, or in other words, negative 7 plus negative 12 is negative 19. And so it turns out, as you look at these examples here, examples 1 and 4, we were adding the numbers up. 8 plus 7 was 15. 7 plus 12 was 19. And we ended up staying positive in the first example, and we stayed negative in the second example, or in the fourth example. In the second and third examples, we ended up actually subtracting. 15 minus 8 was 7, and because 15 was negative, the bigger number was negative, we end up with a negative answer. Whereas in the other example, we have negative 12 plus 20, we did 20 minus 12 and got 8. Because 20 was the bigger number, we kept the positive sign. And so, when adding, scenario number 1 is if they have the same sign, then take the sum, and then keep the common sign. And that's what we did here in problems 1 and 4. We were adding, they had the same sign, so we added those numbers together. And we kept the common sign. The other possibility is that if we have different signs, then we take the difference. That's the math word for subtraction. And we keep the sign of the larger in quotes, meaning larger absolute size, larger absolute value. And that's what we ended up doing here in examples 2 and 3. Right? They had different signs, so we ended up taking the difference and then keeping that common sign. Okay, so that's the process that we want to remember now as we add sign numbers.